Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for tuning in. This is Sue Schoning from the Soul Lighthouse, and I am here with your Fast Flash forecast for February 2018. And if you look at that gorgeous, glorious picture on the screen right now of the snowdrops creeping up through the snow, that is what greets me every morning when I open my front door. We have got snow on the ground. It's quite bleak and grey and cold outside. But there is this carpet of snowdrops that is beginning to appear. And it is a reminder for me, most definitely, that no matter how hard the winter, no matter how hard things are at this moment in time, seasons do end, things do change, and that there is a spring that follows even the darkest, hardest winter. It is part of the natural law. And so this is an energy that for me is very, very appropriate for where we are right now. It has been really intense. And I remember saying to you, 2018 was going to be very fast paced. It was going to be extreme and it was going to be super, super busy. But oh my heck, even I am gasping for breath right now because it feels as if it has got the speed of a runaway train. It is just accelerating and accelerating, and it is demanding so much of us on every single level. Time has been hectic since before the year even started. You know, it started to speed up already round about the 15th, 20th of December. And then we hit January and it has just felt as if we're running a marathon every single day. There isn't this sense of getting to the end of our to-do list. There just is so much that is being presented to us, thrown at us on every level, whether that is work or home or money or our health, or the family, or relationships. It's on every single level. And of course, the energy around the lunar eclipse last week was super intense. It was a very, very intense energy. And next week, we have a solar eclipse that is happening on the 15th of February. And the key message between these two eclipses is be gentle, be gentle, be gentle. There is this whole energy at the moment that we are being given almost a 2-week reprieve as we are between the intense energy of the lunar eclipse and the very intense energy of the solar eclipse that is coming on the 15th of February. Take this time that's being given to you, breathe a little bit, ground a little bit, be gentle with yourself, because this energy of 2018, which is extreme, which is accelerating, which is going to get busier and busier and busier as we go through this year, it is really, truly going to demand every aspect of resource and resilience that we own. Now, February resonates with the 13-4 energy. And how I get that, 2018, as we know, resonates with an 11. If I add the 2 plus the 1 plus the 8, I get an 11. It's a master number. It's an extreme energy. And we spoke about that in our webcast just the other day, of the energy of 2018. So I take that 11 and I add the 2, which February resonates to, and I get 13. I add the 1 and the 3 and I get a 4. And the basic meaning of the 4 is the energy of balance. It's the energy of structural balance, knowing that if everything is balanced and if everything is doing what it needs to do, that everything is on track. It's the number of divine law. And I spoke a little bit about divine law at the beginning of this podcast, which is the seasons change. We know that spring follows winter. Why? Because it is the divine law. We know that if we work hard at something, that there is a consequence for every action that we do. Why? Because it is the divine law. And this energy of February reminds us to come back to that aspect of the divine law, which is supreme balance in action. And if we can find that space of balance within us, then no matter what it is that gets thrown at us, we can cope. Balance is not something that we find, it's something that we have to create. And that really, in essence, is February's message to us. How can we create that balance? And we're being told to strengthen our core muscles. And those of you who exercise, who do yoga, who do Pilates, you will understand what I mean when I talk about core muscles. I do Pilates once a week, and I have to tell you, I'm aching at the end of my Pilates session because our teacher spends an enormous amount of time working on our core muscles. And when your core muscles are strong, you stand up straighter, your shoulders stand back, you are stronger within yourself, you are able to have a space of more resilience. You've got more strength, you've got more endurance, and you certainly have much more fortitude. And we're being told to strengthen our metaphorical or our metaphysical core muscles so that we are able to withstand no matter what gets thrown at us. If we are in that extreme football game of life, if we have got strong core muscles, we're able to go through that game. And yes, we get battered and hammered from every angle, but we're able to go through that game and we're able to stand strong and stand firm, no matter where the game of life takes us. The second message that February has for us is about sticking to the knitting. And we have a phrase in English, I'm not sure that it translates into other languages, but when I talk about sticking to the knitting, it says it's about creating your core excellence. And how do you do it? We do it by focusing on one area at a time rather than trying to do everything. And we do it by attending and focusing to what you know versus trying to do everything that's demanding your immediate attention. And in a time like we are at the moment, where everything is demanding our attention, we're being super stimulated on every level. From home to work, to families, to responsibilities, to money, back to the kids, back to home. When we are being super stimulated and everything is trying to grab our attention, it is easy to get scattered. And it's easy to be in a space where we feel completely overwhelmed. And so develop those core muscles so you've got the resilience and the fortitude, and then focus on one thing at a time. Attend to what you know. Because you know as well as I do that when we're running around like chickens without a head, running around trying to get everything done, we never really get anything done at all. But when we are able to step back and we're able to look at what needs to be done and work at it in a coherent structure, in a balanced structure with resilience and fortitude, that's when we begin to see things happening. And that's when we begin to get things off our to-do list and get them completed. 3 tips that you need to keep in mind this month is that life is hectic. It is what it is, and life is hectic. And when it is so, it is very easy to sink into overwhelm. So ground and ground often. Use your breath to come back to this moment, just this moment, a couple of times a day. You know, when we are in that space where we have got so much to do, so much to do, so much to do, we forget to breathe. And we breathe from the very tops of our lungs. We never really take that deep breath. And if you don't have time to sit for an hour's meditation, you certainly do have time for 3 minutes every now and then to bring your attention back to the breath and to bring your attention back to grounding in this moment. So if you find yourself in a space where your head is all over the place and you can't meditate and you can't relax and you can't be in a space where you feel that you've got time to just sit down and do nothing, every now and then take 3 minutes and breathe. Take 3 minutes and just allow that energy to drain out of you and into the ground. Create 20 to 30 minutes every now and then where you can just breathe and recover mindfulness. And we know that mindfulness is not something that you decide one day, oh, now I'm going to be mindful. It's a 24-hour-a-day practice. Why do we need to do it? Because it teaches us to break the state. And remember, when we're in a space of overwhelm, everything is overwhelming. We need to break the state. And so recognize the signs that you're getting into overwhelm and allow yourself to break the state by doing something completely different for just half an hour. You know, when we're in a space that there's so much that needs to be done, it feels like a luxury. It feels irresponsible to step away from your desk or step away from the situation and go and sit down and have a cup of coffee or go for a walk. But we all know that we are far more productive after that half an hour when we come back to the task, because we've given ourselves time to break the state. And it's something that I seriously recommend is when you find yourself in that space of overwhelm, even if the snow is deep on the ground, go outside for half an hour, go and walk, go and absorb the light, and just allow your mind to focus on something else for just 20 to 30 minutes. If you can't do it every day, every second day. It is a very powerful practice. When so many things are happening at breakneck speed, we end up in indecision of what is the right thing to do. And so we end up literally in this space of I don't know on the left-hand side and I don't know on the right-hand side. This is why it is so vital that we come back to that core, strengthen those core muscles. The last tip for getting through February is it's an energy that has got the potential to suck us deep into anxiety with everything that we need to cope with right now. And it's almost a little bit like we spend our time focusing on getting all our apples proverbially lined up on our apple cart and in balance on the apple cart. And we spend so much time trying to get everything in balance that we forget that the perspective was actually to sell the apples or even just take time out to eat the apples. But we spend so much time getting sucked into that anxiety with everything that needs to be done that we lose the bigger picture. We lose the perspective. And that's why that mindful moment, that breath that you come back to 3 minutes every now and then, that 20 minutes that you give yourself of downtime so you can break the state, allows you to come back to the core so that you can be mindful of the next step only. Not 10 steps or 20 steps or 100 steps down the line, which is what anxiety sucks us into, but what is the next thing that I have to do here? If there is a trick to getting through this very extreme energy, it is this. Come back to the core, come back into mindfulness, and come back into giving yourself a number of timeouts during the day so that you have the strength to deal with the next thing that's on your plate. It's an energy of extreme self-care. Manage the anxiety, manage the stress, be mindful of what we need to do, one thing at a time, nurturing and nourishing of yourself while you're doing it. And be in a space of what is nurturing right now, what is nourishing right now, What brings the balance right now? Remember, February's message is all about balance. How do we attain balance? We attain balance by creating it. How do we create it? By focusing on our core strength, our core muscles, developing our core, sticking to the knitting, and then being mindful. One thing is for sure, 2018 is going to speed up and get faster and faster and faster. So this resilience that we are being asked to develop so early on in the game is going to be put to good use as we go through this year. Your question to yourself is, how do I strengthen my core muscles? How do I stick to the knitting? And how do I create balance in my life as I go through this month? I hope you found this beneficial. I hope you found this useful. I will be back with you very soon as we head into March, which brings us an energy of action, 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 all hands on deck. But for now, I wish you moments of mindfulness. I wish you moments of balance. And I wish you strength to your core muscles. I'll be back with you soon. Thank you so much for listening. Lots of love, and bye for now.